Welcome back, everybody, to another fantastic episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. This is episode 60, everybody. Can you believe it? I am one of your hosts this week, Chris G. And I speak for a living, everyone. And if you can't hear him laughing on the other end, it's my good old co-host. He's the wet one of the group. Johnny Drip Drip. Dougie, man, how you doing?
I think you'll find that's America's most wanted.
That was too funny. I was thinking about, I was like, maybe we should do a take two. I was like, no, that's too funny. Wrestling quiz. I'm Quistry this week.
Wesley Wabbit.
So, as I alluded to, this is episode 60. It's Beach Blank Out Blastoise, or translated from Japanese, Kamex's Island, which I'm guessing Blastoise is called Kamex in Japanese. So
Has to be.
So, how are you doing, Doug?
Oh, good. This is
as you yawn.
Well, it's fucking going on 10 o'clock. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it is. We just finished our last episode, and we are doing a twofer this week. So this is our second one. So I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna start this episode off. I got a little bit of a rush opening that Pokemon pack on last week's show, and I can't wait to open this other one. I have it right here. If you guys can hear that, that's the Pokemon pack. It is a Vivid Voltage pack. When I buy Pokemon cards, everyone, I get the booster boxes. So the booster boxes come with 36 packs in it a piece, and that's what I'm going to do this week. I have a Blazing, I think it's called a Blazing something upstairs. I have Chilling Rain, I have Vivid Voltage, and Pokemon is actually sending me, because they fucked up on one of on everybody's box. If you pre-ordered the Chilling Rain box set, it was supposed to have 10 packs in it, but they shipped it out and it only had 8. So to make up for everything, they're giving us blister packs, which have 2 packs a piece in it. So I have 4 packs coming, and they're also giving us free Galarian, Moltres, Zapdos, and Articuno cards. So I'm gonna have 2 a piece of those as well. So I'll be opening those on a future episode. I'm supposed to get those this Thursday. So they gave me tracking today, Doug.
Well, they fucked up now.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm expecting it. It says it'll be here on Thursday. I was like, all right, it better be here on Thursday. So, but yeah, this week I will be opening a Vivid Voltage pack, and we are looking for a VMAX Pikachu. Do you think that I'm going to get it this week, Doug, or do you think it'll be a few weeks before we get it?
Oh, it'll probably be a few weeks, because you've said it twice now when it's out in the universe.
So we will see if we get it. We have 36 tries, Doug. Well, 35, because I gave 1 pack to my neighbor for something he gave us. So I rewarded him with a Pokemon pack. So
with a single pack.
Yes, and I told him not to open it until next year. So, and he listened, and hopefully it's in his house, put away somewhere. But yeah, I have 35 tries, everybody, to get this VMAX Pikachu, and that is what we are looking for, everyone. There are other rare cards attached to it. I'm not sure. I'll have to Google what those other ones are. I will have that by the end of this episode. But I think that's enough ramble for this week, Doug. We don't have too much else to talk about unless you do.
Well, no, I mean, considering that we did the bulk of our conversation, last week because this is episode 2 of a two shot.
Yes.
So
So, all right. And this episode aired August 27th, 1998 in Japan. And here in the States, it aired on a weird Monday morning, September 20th, 1999. And Doug, mine happened in 1985, so I can almost guess that you're going first again this week.
well, no, if you paid attention to our pre-record, where mine is this week.
Oh, shit. I am first this week. Okay, never mind. I get to go first, everybody.
I feel like I should punish you for not paying attention when I speak.
You know what? It wasn't when you spoke. It was when I spoke. But it completely went over my head. That's how tired I am.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
It's been a long night. Yeah, I'm sure. But mine happened in 1985, and on this day, September 20th, Walt Disney World welcomed their 200 millionth guest into the park. And when I did a Google search to try to find out who this guest was, they just did a celebration that they had a 200 millionth guest, and they didn't get any names or anybody that went through the gate, Doug.
Well, I'm sure you know, they know, and people know, but it's just, not available via a quick Google search. Because I would imagine, if it was, well, what could happen now? Nothing much really, but at the time, I'm sure he would have gotten like harassed for stuff. But yeah, it just would have been nice to give this person a shout out. Not that they need it, but it just would have been nice to actually say a name as opposed to just
the next time I go to Disney World, I'm gonna have a shirt that says I'm Disney's 500 millionth guest into this park, and I'm just gonna, and the people are gonna be like, "Is that true?" And I'm gonna be like, "You're damn right." You can't
prove that it isn't. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get a shirt and I'm gonna have it made, and I'm gonna post a picture online and just say, "I'm doing it, everybody. I'm doing it." And that's probably gonna give it away because our podcast is popular and people are gonna be like, "Hey, Disney, look out for this food."
Yeah. You can't miss him.
He's wearing a T-shirt that says he's the 500th millionth person.
He's wearing a T-shirt, for goodness sake.
So, all right. So that one was mine. Mine happened in 1985. And what year did yours happen, Doug?
So on this day in 2011, that would be September 20th, the sitcom New Girl premieres on Fox.
Yes. And I didn't personally watch the show, but you say you're familiar with it. Can you kind of enlighten us as to what the show was about?
Yeah, this was one of my as he fondles his water bottle.
Sorry.
This is one of my favorite recent shows. It is about this girl. I'm trying to figure out. She's from I believe she's from the Midwest. She moves out to Los Angeles.
Is it about that country girl? And they're like singing and stuff?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, maybe not. Never mind.
And she moves out to Los Angeles with her boyfriend and comes home to find him fooling around with another woman. So right from the pilot, they're broken up, and she's forced to move in with 3 male roommates, and just I mean, I hate to be glib and bland about it, but hilarity ensues. Well, because like, at what point do you stop? Because I mean, if I start going down a rabbit hole of a show that I've watched, I mean, we're gonna end up with a fucking 45-minute New Girl recap, and
Yes.
that's not the podcast for it.
No.
But yeah, it was really funny when it aired. Zoe Deschanel, Max Greenfield, Jake Johnson, Lamar Morris, um, Hannah Simone, um, Damon Wayans Jr. popped in and out. Um, he was actually in the pilot episode. He might have even been in the first couple, but then he had to go back because another show that he was on got renewed, so he had to go finish out that one. So yeah, that's a whole nother. Um, but yeah, aired from September 20th, 2011 to May. Oh, for goodness sakes, I need a date. I need a date. May 15th, 2018. Um, how many episodes? While I'm here, I might as well. 148 episodes over 7 seasons. I believe it's on Netflix.
I think it is.
As we're talking, and I feel like it kind of filled the gap that, and maybe not completely, but it kind of filled the gap that Friends, oh, for goodness sake,
Hey, cameo.
shut up. Kind of filled the gap that Friends left when it left Netflix for HBO Max, because it's a super bingeable show. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know who he's barking at. It's fucking pitch black out. Probably barking at himself. So yeah, New Girl. Watch it if you haven't.
All right. So good review, Doug. I'm gonna have to take a look at that maybe at some point on my backlog when I get caught up with all my stuff. And it might get watched and it might not get watched.
That means it won't get watched. Because I've done the exact same thing to you. So
I pulled your line on you, Doug. But all right. You ready to jump into this week's very, very filler episode?
yeah, I didn't really say it last week because it kind of picked up the end, but that the episode we talked about last week, they spent what 2-3 minutes literally throwing rocks in a hole.
Yes.
So,
But we got to see Charizard cooperate for once.
this is true. So, growth.
You know what? You know something that we keep forgetting to do, Doug. And let's start this week's episode. What do you give last week's episode? Because we keep forgetting to give the Duggo-meter at the end of episodes.
I mean, 3.
Really, a 3? A gym battle? 3?
That's why it's a 3. Otherwise, it would have been a 2.
Just you was not a fan of rock throwing into the.
That was a really bland episode, and like it had such potential to be. They basically could have been all killer, no filler, because they literally Pikachu was literally on a cliffhanger, and they dismounted off of that cleanly, and then they basically spent the bulk of the episode messing around, and they threw rocks in a hole for 2-3 minutes, and then the last 5 of the episode was over, and it was a badass gym battle, but not enough of one to bump it up 2 whole stars. So 3.
Okay. Yeah. I'll give it. God, you make such a good point. I was gonna give it a 4. Um, I'll give it about a 3, maybe a 3.5 on my scale from last week. Um, yeah, you kind of the same points as you. We got progression, but just like so much of that episode was just cracking of walls and throwing rocks over lava. Yeah, you're right. So, all right. And then we'll have a rating at the end of this episode as well, if we don't forget.
Yeah, if we remember, yeah.
If we remember. I do want to throw out there. So this one is Beach Blank Out Blastoise, which means episode 60 is. This week's Who's That Pokemon is Horsey. I have a website now, Doug, that I can go to find this out.
Well, yeah, it's called Bulbapedia. We know.
Yes. So, yes. And in Japan, this week's Who's That Pokemon was Blastoise because it makes sense.
That would have made sense, yeah.
And you're going to hit your head, Doug, but last week when we had Paris, they had Magmar in Japan.
Well, yeah, but we had Magmar the week before.
Yeah, and they had Electabuzz for some odd reason on that episode. So, all right.
And I feel like we had Electabuzz had to have been the Dark City Showdown.
Possibly. Somewhere. Yes, I'm going back way too far.
Yeah, I mean, if we knew we were going to do that, you might have been a little more prepared.
Yes.
But, I mean, I just kind of threw that on you, and that's more than a few clicks away. So, yeah, Beach Blank Out Blastoise, which if you're not paying attention, you're going to easily say Beach Blanket Blastoise.
Yes.
Which is kind of frustrating because that's how I thought it was until I clicked. I was like, oh, it's Blank Out, which, fair play makes more sense.
And I'm gonna start this week's episode with I kind of have a little bit of an issue with the beginning. The beginning.
I love the recaps because we can skip them.
Yeah, we had another recap at the beginning of this episode. Not that this episode didn't just air here in the U.S. Freaking 2 days ago. Well, if you were me, I missed this battle when it was first fresh out the day that it happened. I remember watching it and being hyped, but I did miss the original airing of that episode. So maybe I did like it.
Nerd had to go to school.
No, it aired on a Saturday, but I fully remember watching the first episode and forgetting about it when my friend Chris, he had stayed the night that night. For some reason, I don't know why, but I remember watching that first episode with him, and then we went outside to play because remember when that was a thing? And fully missing the second episode and coming back in too late to be able to watch that episode. So I had to catch it on other avenues, which I'm not sure how I watched it, but I do remember watching it at some point and being hyped. But we did get a recap at the beginning. The last like 30 seconds of the Pokemon gym. Actually, we got the entire gym battle.
Basically, yeah.
Basically, and we got the Magmar fainting and everything. So the first minute of this episode was recapping, which means that they had 1 minute less of stuff that they had to go over with in this episode.
And it was less than that because what have we established? The last like 2 minutes are the Pokemon jukebox. So
yeah. So this week we have a ship's whistle is blowing, and of course our heroes are running after the boat because of course they overslept or for some odd reason they're missing the boat. So I'd be mad. That's a wasted ticket because you would have to think that they had money invested and had bought a ticket to this boat. And they're running over to this boat. This boat is leaving, and Ash trips over a Wartortle. Doug?
Trips over him, he trucks him.
Wartortle doesn't trip him. He's running up to the sand to find help or whatnot, and they collide together.
No, I mean, fucking Ash was just going full Marshawn Lynch beast mode into this poor Wartortle. And,
Wartortle
Wartortle,
had no chance.
he got absolutely just decleated. And, we get a good old Dexter, because, this is the first time we're seeing a Wartortle, so we get, Dexter saying the rings on his tail dictate how old and wise he is.
Yes.
And we can tell pretty much from jump that this poor Wartortle is in distress, and he's frantically speaking to Pikachu.
Well, let's not even talk. Let's not even skip over the fact that Ash basically called this Wartortle stupid.
Because he says, he doesn't look too bright.
Yeah, like fucking asshole. Sorry with the F-bomb so early, but damn, Ash. But yeah, Pikachu brings out Pikachu goes over and clips Squirtle because Wartortle is talking to Pikachu and he's being frantic. So at this point, Squirtle and Wartortle are talking back and forth to each other. Wartortle is explaining what's going on, and Squirtle is he's just kind of upset as well. I guess we don't know what they're saying until later. But Ash, Pikachu, and Misty are just looking on in disbelief like, I wish I knew what they were talking about. Doug?
Yeah, and I mean, we can tell that whatever Wartortle is saying is, making sense and resonating with Squirtle, and he's taking it in. All of a sudden, he reaches into his shell, and he pulls out his Squirtle Squad glasses.
Yes.
And they correctly identify. Oh, we haven't seen those in a while, and there's a nod between Squirtle and Wartortle, and they jump into the water.
If I was Ash, I'd be pissed because my Pokemon is going and leaving without me.
Well, he already missed the boat, so what the hell,
Squirtle's like, he'll still be here. The boat's already gone.
So, Brock goes, there must be trouble. We gotta, Ash goes, we gotta figure out what's going on. And then, so we cut to Squirtle and Wartortle are basically hauling Ash to this island. And then we pan behind them, and Ash, Misty, and Brock are in a little boat that's being towed by Goldeen, Staryu, and Starmie.
Yes.
And, they're not sure where they're going, but they're just following the turtle Pokemon.
To an island that is not on the map.
Right.
And oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no. And then we get a glimpse of the Gyarados machine or the submarine that Team Rocket uses. And this week, James and Meowth are complaining to Jessie because Jessie has the capability of pedaling as well, but she's not. She's just looking through the goggles and basically using her celebrity to not pedal, Doug.
He said, can you look and pedal at the same time?
So it's at this time that they crash onto the island. Our heroes do, and they're racing behind Wartortle and Squirtle. And when they get up there, there's a bunch of empty shells.
Well, they're not empty. I mean, let's not give people the wrong impression.
Well, they look empty.
Well, a fair point, I suppose. I mean, obviously we have the benefit, but the bunch of shit. Let's not. Because you say empty.
Okay, so a bunch of shells on an island that look like Squirtle shells and maybe Wartortle shells. So it's at this point that Brock walks over to the shells and puts a 0 up against it, And he's like, "Oh, don't worry, everybody. These Pokemon are just sleeping." And
Right.
Ash is like, "I don't get it." And they point over to the big one, which obviously is Blastoise.
As a Blastoise, and we can see that he's also in his shell. And then we get Dexter. Blastoise is the evolution of Wartortle.
It says this.
Uh,
Oh, do you have it?
well, not the whole thing. I was just gonna. The last thing said that attacks from its cannon are basically unstoppable.
Yes. Which why isn't Dexter this useful when it comes to any other like Pokemon? Like I feel like Dexter is a little lazy at some points when it's given description, but it had all the description for Blastoise.
Hey, the big ones are when he pulls out the big information.
I guess. And Ash is like, "This is our lucky day. I get to get up close with a Blastoise." And Brock is like, he's like, it's either practicing its withdraw attack or it's sleeping. And Ash runs over, gives it a big old hug. And I'm sorry, I would not be running up to a random Blastoise, a wild Blastoise, and be giving it a hug like this.
Yeah, because all of a sudden it shoots out. He gets on its shell. He fucking lands on one of the water cannons and all. It's just not a good look.
You see, but if this was me in real life, I would have been a dick, and I wouldn't have thought twice. I would have been a sleeping Blastoise. I'm going to catch this thing, and I would have caught that, and I would have caught all those Squirtles and Wartortles that's around and sent them over to Professor Oak and said, "Here you go."
And then Professor Oak says, he's just catching them in batches.
He hasn't given me a Pokemon in 2 months, and he's coming back with a Blastoise and a bunch of Wartortles.
And a farm of Wartortle and Squirtles, for goodness sake.
But it's at this point, as Ash is hugging the Blastoise, he completely falls down and he's asleep. So Squirtle jumps up and does the same thing.
Does the same thing and knocks onto his shell, and he's out. Cut to Brock and Misty trying to wake him up and smacking him, and it's not working. And
Yeah,
Brock surmises that something to do with the Blastoise, and then Misty says, "Well, Pikachu, use your what's he say?
Alarm clock thundershock."
Yeah,
And Ash is a dick, so he gets woken up, and his initial response is to tell Pikachu to knock it off, and so is Squirtle from getting shocked, even though they were sleeping. And Missy's like, what's going on, Ash? You were dreaming about being a Pokemon master again?" And Ash is like, "Oh, I guess I did kind of doze off." So all the Squirtle and Wartortle are now awake at this time. I guess that Pikachu's Thundershock woke everybody up.
yeah. I mean, we see a quick pan of it getting everybody, so I think it's safe to assume that. And then we kind of get Ash's explanation. He says, "I went over to that Blastoise and I heard a sound that sounded familiar."
But I couldn't put my finger on it.
Right.
And all the Squirtle and Wartortle that are around said that they heard the exact same thing, but they don't know what it is.
And Misty's ready to leave. She said, "Well, I suppose now that you're awake, I suppose now we can hit it." Ash says, "I'm not going anywhere until that Blastoise wakes up."
And Missy's like, "I was afraid you were going to say that." She wants no part of this. I mean, but she should be in heaven right now because these are water Pokemon. She should be in heaven. This is her chance to
She should have tried to catch one of them.
Yeah, exactly. But she didn't try to catch not one. What kind of gym leader are you?
She's a junior gym leader.
Yes. So Ash and Squirtle Ash, Squirtle, and Wartortle agree with each other that they're going to find out the cause of this Blastoise not waking up and being asleep and finding out what's keeping everybody asleep. And then we go back to Team Rocket, who are looking out with their binoculars and they see Blastoise, and they're now going to scheme to get this Blastoise to give it back over to the boss, Doug.
Yeah, you basically hit it on the head. Meowth drops a Fantasy Island reference, which there's no way that was in the Japanese edit. And then we basically get Brock using his powers of deduction and apparently quick illustration. Basically, he's given his kind of order of events. He's saying that this is the island of Squirtle and Wartortle, and Blastoise is the leader, and Squirtle and Wartortle are kind of nodding along. And he says one day Blastoise goes out for a swim, but he doesn't come back, and
he washed up to land, and all the Squirtle and Wartortle helped pull him out.
And he was already asleep when they pulled him out, and then the rest of them fell asleep, and then Brock says that one Wartortle saw what happened, came to land, and that's when he ran into us, and here we are. So he basically caught the audience up.
Yes. And like we were stupid enough to not know that that's what happened anyway.
Hey, it's gotta fill time somehow.
So Misty also alludes to that this is the Turtle Island that everybody has been looking for, but have not ever been able to find, and that they're on this island. And could this be the island that everyone's looking for?
Damn island wasn't in Pokemon.
For real. I didn't get a damn Squirtle anyway as my starter Pokemon, but if I did and this island was in the game, I'd be mad.
Exactly, right? You say, well, I like Squirtle, I'm going to take a Squirtle, and you find out there's a whole freaking island where all you had to do was
just
probably
surf up to it.
Do one attack, and you could catch all the Squirtle you could carry.
So at this time, Brock is over there. Why? Oh, well, I guess I'm about to give away the
freaking spoilers, man! For goodness sakes, wait 2 minutes.
I know. So Brock walks over to this thing, and he has a stethoscope, and he's putting it up against Blastoise, and he's trying to see what's going on. And he can hear that Blastoise is sleeping, and then out of nowhere, Blastoise finally wakes up, and he gets his arms and his legs out, and he stands up, and Ash is on his back because
Ash was basically sitting on his head.
Yeah. And oh, sorry, you go.
And Blastoise raises up, and the island erupts in cheers because their leader has literally awoken, and Squirtle and Ash's Squirtle and Blastoise are having a conversation, and once again, Ash's conduit in Pikachu is completely lost. But then Blastoise fires out one of his cannons, but it's stuck.
Yeah, he can't pressure out any water. And I felt bad for Blastoise. Like, Blastoise can't even touch its own cannon. Like, he's trying to touch the cannon, but his arms are too short.
like that T-Rex. I have a big head, little arms.
I can't grab anything. So it's at this point where out pops a little pink glob from the cannon. And then the air pops out, and everyone's freaking out because they know what it is. It's
except for Ash.
Yeah, for some reason, Ash is disillusioned and just all sorts of just... Why? How does he not know? No wonder he failed that damn test.
Especially considering he just chased a Jigglypuff in a volcano
Yes,
last episode.
yeah, a day ago, and maybe the same day. But the Jigglypuff like moves around and its ear pops up, so everyone knows that it's a Jigglypuff, and they're they all get scared again. And
Well, no, they don't get. Well, they get scared because because Jigglypuff starts singing, and then they.
why the fuck is Jigglypuff singing inside of a stuck cannon?
Because what else is it supposed to do?
I guess. But yeah, Jigglypuff starts to sing again and it knocks everybody out. And Togepi's just
Squirtle literally bounces because he's still standing on Blastoise. When Blastoise goes down, when he goes down, Squirtle literally bounces in his shell a good couple of feet.
yeah, I'm surprised it didn't knock him out as well as putting him to sleep. But everybody falls asleep and you see all the Squirtle and the Wartortle put their heads back into their shells, and then Blastoise does the same. And this is Team Rocket's chance to snap in and steal this Blastoise. And that's exactly what they do. They put some string on this Blastoise and they start carrying him away.
Well, yeah, and poor Meowth, unfortunately, essentially draws the short straw to be the one to essentially retrieve the Blastoise with Jigglypuff still stuck in the cannon, for goodness sake.
Yes.
And still singing. So what does Meowth do? Meowth hears the song and falls asleep. And Jesse says, "Oh, that scaredy cat fainted."
Yeah, freaking ass. But I don't see them going over there. And not only does she say that he fainted, she takes him and she throws him while he's sleeping on top of the Gyarados.
Well, yeah. Not to mention they drag him back off the beach through the water while he still smacks him around, and then like you said, throws him.
Meowth has a fat lip from them smacking him. I wanna see that conversation when he finally woke up.
And then and Jesse basically has a moment of, oh yeah, we have this Gyarados grabber that we could have used this whole time.
So they go over there and they grab the Gyarados and they take him away.
And then we get the break and we get the who's that Pokemon? It's Horsey. Why is it Horsey? Your guess is as good as mine.
I told you it's going to start frustrating you. I told you.
And then we get back and Ash is the first one to be awake and finds out immediately that Blastoise is no longer on its perch, I should say, and the island starts freaking out.
Yes, and they're looking around and trying to figure out what could have done this, and then they see Blastoise's trail in the sand, and they're like, "We can follow this trail."
And not to mention Ash's Squirtle stands up on the perch and kind of rallies the troops.
The sunglasses.
With the sunglasses, and we're chanting Squirtle, Wartortle. Everybody's, Misty says he's a good leader, and Ash basically says, well, he's got a pretty good trainer, and
anywhere Ash can take a compliment, he's going to take it.
But then Brock immediately cuts him out at the knees and says, they're probably just attracted to the sunglasses.
And Pikachu is looking, and it's at this point that they see the whole tracks of the kidnapped Blastoise, and they say, but who could have kidnapped Blastoise? And they all start storming in, and they jump into the water, all these Squirtle, and I swear the Squirtle jumping into the water was like on repeat, like the same 3 Squirtles just jumping in.
Probably, yeah. Well, kind of like last week when they used the same cycle of the Pokemon putting rocks in the lava flow.
And then we go back to Team Rocket. Team Rocket is in the Gyarados, and they're swimming away. And as they're swimming away, they have I'm gonna pull a reference from last week. They have some margaritas.
Yeah, maybe this is what they were talking about.
And they're drinking their margaritas. And Jesse's finally rowing the boat with James, both only using 1 foot to do it. I thought that was pretty funny that they're just being lazy about it and
How else are you going to pose all
doing the
heroic and
doing the Jack Daniels pose.
yeah, basically, yeah.
So, um, let's see, and
Well, and then
then
they basically have an argument
as to who's going to get the credit.
because they say, well, we caught the we did catch that Blastoise, but then they basically have an argument because Jesse was the one that hit the button.
Yes. And my thing is, they all did it together. Like if they wouldn't be sitting here arguing with each other, all 3 of them could. They're a team. All 3 of them can get the credit and just go about their business.
Well, you're 100% right, but you also have to remember this is Team Rocket. We're not used to success,
No.
so we don't know how to handle ourselves.
And they completely mess. I felt so bad. Like Meowth got so much abuse in this episode, and Meowth tries to come up with an idea, and they completely just punch him to the ground and say, "Stay out of this, Meowth." And James goes over, and the same thing that he did to frickin' Magikarp just fucking kicks. He has a kicking Pokemon problem.
Well, except I mean, thankfully in this instance, Meowth doesn't evolve into Gyarados.
He should have evolved into a Persian, right?
He should have evolved right there, but so the kick knocks a hole in the boat, so the boat springs or the submarine springs a leak, knocks another ear out of Blastoise's cannon. So Jigglypuff, I'm assuming, is awake now, which means it starts singing again.
Yes.
Which means Meowth, kind of dozes off.
And so does Jesse and James.
And unbeknownst to them, the submarine is sinking. But then the Squirtle and Wartortle come up from underneath and start swimming it to the surface. And we then see that the submarine is on land, and
so is everyone else.
And Misty and Ash are reviving Jesse and James, and they're trying to act sincere. And they're being sincere. They're asking legitimately if they're okay. And Team Rocket jumps up and says, "Oh, a bunch of twerps," and so on.
And James is about to thank them for saving him, and Jessie full blown punches James, and she goes, "How dare you be grateful that they saved your life?" And
they're our mortal enemies.
And Ash is like, "I kind of feel sorry for that guy." Like James. I mean, and when you get further into the series, Doug, you're going to start feeling more and more sad for James, because James, unbeknownst to everybody, he wants to be a good guy. He's a good guy at heart. I think it's Jesse and him not being able to stand up for himself is the factor into why he is the way that he is right now.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have like alpha energy. He very much seems to be a follower.
Oh, and he calls himself a follower later on. Him and Meow. James has no balls.
Poor guy. They realize that the entire island has caught on to what their plan was, and they were all basically going to gang up. It was going to be 3 on however the hell many Squirtle and Wartortle there were. So they they took they took their exit and hightailed it back to the submarine, and
and now Meowth is like, hold on to your shells, and we find out this thing has freaking wheels and all that type of stuff with the push of a button and a hand that can grab things. And it goes over, and now it's a big, scary Gyarados on wheels.
like a like a like a monster truck almost.
Yes.
And their plan is to still grab the Blastoise, and they basically are going to bowl through this line of Squirtle and Wartortle. And Squirtle and Wartortle are attempting to use their water guns, but obviously it's a machine, so it's not effective. And they're just planning to bowl through this blockade. And, the Squirtle and Wartortle are kind of scrambling, and Ash's Squirtle gets knocked.
Well, hold on. You're missing Meowth's funny line. Misty's like, they're gonna blast through all of them, and he's like, of course. Or no, she says, they're not gonna stop. And he's like, why would we stop when we're having such a Blastoise?
Yeah, I didn't miss nothing.
But yeah, all the Squirtle starts running away, but Ash's Squirtle stays up to try to fight this machine and just gets slapped by one of the hands of this big monster truck looking device.
And Ash is trying to yell for the Blastoise, still asleep because it's still got the
Puff in the
Jigglypuff in the cannon. And they say Ash sends Squirtle and Pikachu to kind of mix their attacks to try to focus to wake up the Blastoise, and they shoot like a water gun flamethrower hybrid right into freaking
which is pretty cool if you think about it. That's a cool attack.
Well, yeah, but to a sleeping Blastoise, for goodness sakes.
And it wasn't just a little shock. They freaking like completely engulfed this thing with water and electricity. Jigglypuff is getting fried, and Jigglypuff finally pops out, and it's all fainted, flies into the Gyarados' mouth, and goes into the machine with Team Rocket, and then Blastoise wakes up, still getting shocked, and then finds out that electricity and water had no effect on it.
And
what level is this thing on?
Well, it's at least, minimum it's 36.
Yes.
And you kind of assume it's been on this island as a Blastoise for a while, so who even knows?
But Team Rocket tries to go head to head with this Blastoise. Blastoise puts up his guard, and it's like a test of strength between Team Rocket and Blastoise. And Blastoise is putting up a fight, and he picks this he's getting ready to pick up this machine. And Jesse's like, we're going to turn this Blastoise into turtle soup. Haha, they got so many jokes this
and week. I think Blastoise, breaks off one of the arms, and
yes.
Then with the combined energy of all of the Squirtle and Wartortle's water guns, plus the blast from
the cannon,
the submarine goes up in the air, and it's being rocketed upwards, and then the Jigglypuff falls into Team Rocket's laps, wakes up, starts singing, and as they're in midair, they have fallen asleep, and the submarine comes crashing down, and Ash's Squirtle jumps into the water, and then we see a big boom and a water jet, and we're all kind of confused. Like, what did he just do? Well, it turns out Ash's Squirtle was going in for the Jigglypuff because it's the right thing to do.
And left Team Rocket to drown.
Well, because they'll be back next week. It's fine. Um, and Jigglypuff gets back on the land, and
Starts to sing.
and then once again knocks everybody out. Jigglypuff gets frustrated,
And draws on everybody again.
and then we wake up, and of course, everybody can see what's been drawn on everybody else. So everybody's having a good old laugh at everybody's expense.
Misty's like, I look like a cartoon character. And Ash jumps in and he's like, a cartoon character? When will that ever happen? Wink, wink.
Hated it.
Oh, you didn't like it?
Hated it.
When they try to break through the fourth wall, but then we get the whole goodbye. Staryu, Starmie, and Goldeen are pulling their boat off of the island again. And it's now time for our heroes to go and find Ash's 8th badge back in Viridian City.
And then we get the final shot of the episode. We see Team Rocket floating on the tail of the Gyarados submarine. We see that they've been drawn on as well. They're sick of the losses. They're sick of the humiliation. And who's just getting seasick? Meowth?
Yes. And that's the end of the episode.
That's the end of the episode. And I was frustrated because they're going back to Viridian City. And we established that they were already there. Now, did we have to go back because Ash had no idea what he was doing the first time, so he wouldn't have been any good anyway? I mean, are we trying to explain it like that? Because that would bother me if I had to backtrack on myself.
Well, okay. But remember, they're on their way to Giovanni's gym now. He has the Earth badge. And in Pokemon Red and Blue, you pass through Viridian City, but when you go over to the Viridian City gym, the gym leader is not there.
That's right.
So you have to face Giovanni as the last gym leader, but you need the other 7 badges in order to do so in the game.
That's right.
So that's the episode, and I'm gonna foreshadow. Let's see. What is the episode after this one? It's the Misty Mermaid. Okay, so we get a couple, and then Clefairy tells.
Now shut up. Because the last time you said that, it ended up being pretty good. So I'm expecting this one to probably be the episode of the season.
We'll see. And then we have the Battle of the Badge, where Ash is going in to get his final badge. So we still have 3 more weeks until we get another gym battle.
Oh boy.
Yep. And you want to know and it's kind of fucked up in a way because I didn't pause the episode, so the Pokemon song To Be a Master song is in the background playing. They completely spoil that Ash gets his Earth badge in the song before he gets it. Like, he opens his jacket and he has all 8 badges.
Could have been a dream sequence.
It could have, yeah. So, but yeah, that's this week's episode. Doug, what do you give it on your Duggometer?
What I gave last week, a 3.
Yep.
It's probably a 2.
I'm in the same boat. I'd give it about a 2. There was no progression. That this was as filler gets. Not my favorite episode this week.
I mean, we saw 2 new Pokemon that we haven't seen before.
Yeah, we have. We've seen them because they were in the Pokemon movie.
Well, for God's sake.
Well, they were. We had a whole scene of Blastoise facing clone Blastoise.
in the series.
True. I get it because we're supposed to forget that whole thing happened because Mewtwo wiped everybody's mind.
Right.
But all right, and it is the end of the show, Doug. So what does that mean, Doug?
That means I get to go out of here.
No,
What do you mean, no?
no, not yet.
Oh.
All right, so it is pack opening time, everybody. So it's time. I have a Chilling Rain pack sitting right here in front of me.
Not again.
Yes, well, I mean that's what it's going to be for the next few weeks, Doug, because
goodness sakes.
because I have a booster box and it has 36 Chilling Rain packs, and I'm opening them one at a time. I have some more packs in the mail that's on their way, but for right now, so last week, I stated that I was looking for a shiny Snorlax or an Ice Rider Calyrex. I do want to add that there are Galarian versions of Moltres, Articuno, and Zapdos that are out there as well. So I am looking for those as well. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and open this. All right, let's get this promo training card. At some point, I'm going to start putting incentives, and I'm just going to start reading off whatever these codes are on these packs for people that play the games online. But you take the top 4 cards and you put them at the bottom, and let's see what we got here. We have a Psychic Energy, a Spiral Energy, a Peony, Peony. It's a trainer card. Okay. And then we have a Larian, a Galarian Yamask, a Coughing, a Shuppet, a Squirtle, a Spheal. We have a reverse. Oh, this is nice. We have a reverse Hollow Score Bunny, everybody. And is the last card going to be that rare? Ah, fuck. It's a Zangoose, everybody.
Oh, damn, not a Zangoose.
Yeah, it's a fucking Zangoose.
Ah, shit.
Well, you can't win them all, but this fucking reverse Hollow Score Bunny is bomb. This is nice.
When you go back and re-listen to this, the first 3 names you said, I could have sworn, like if I didn't know we were doing Pokemon, I thought could have sworn you were just saying words.
What, Psychic Energy?
No, the first 3 like Pokemon you actually told.
Oh, Larian, a Galarian Yamask, and a Coughing.
Well, okay, son of a bitch, I'm gonna make you say the whole pack again. It was after that.
a Shuppet.
There it is.
A Squirtle, a Spheal.
Yeah, you're just saying words.
That's what the Pokemon are.
So they're just sounds now.
Yes. I'm surprised they don't have one that's just for a snake.
It's a snake. It's not a good one either. It's just a garden snake.
But
now they're lazy and
I know. But yeah, we all can't be winners. But like I said, this reverse Hollow Score Bunny is definitely a keeper. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on and put it away. And I'm going to put it on our social media as well. So at every Pokemon episode on Instagram if you want to take a look at any of these cards. But do you have anything else to add for this week, Doug?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, then say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
This is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, have a good night, and we will see you next week for episode 61, The Misty Mermaid. Have a good night, everyone.